reversed, where at the time I was told either you apologize for disbelieving it or you have to leave. Now I think it would be the other way around. Now they'd say, if it happened today, they'd say, if you believe Meghan Markle, you're going to have to leave.
Oh my, Piers Morgan just ripped Meghan Markle to shreds in his latest interview, and this time he's not the only one saying what everybody's been thinking. You remember when he got slammed for daring to question her stories? Well, the tide has turned, and now even the mainstream's catching on. Because that one shift says it all, good fans. This isn't just about Piers or Meghan, it's about how the whole world has flipped. She went from being praised as some fearless feminist icon to becoming the butt of the joke. The same media that once defended her every move, they're starting to ask awkward questions. The glow's gone and people are finally waking up.
The scale of veracity around her, I think, has turned into Pinocchio level. So, I mean, mainly in the UK, I have to say, she's just incredibly unpopular. No one believes a word she says.
Piers Morgan, the guy who nearly got canceled for calling out Meghan Markle, isn't standing alone anymore. The media painted him as a bitter old man throwing a tantrum. Fast forward to now, with Meghan's latest flop of a Netflix series and yet another cringy rebrand, Piers doesn't look petty. He begrudgingly looks kinda right. And oh my goodness, Becky, he's not holding back. He's tearing into her so-called jam empire, slamming her as delusional and self-obsessed, and calling this latest PR stunt what it really is, a desperate grab for relevance. And the thing is, he's got a growing crowd nodding along. So buckle up, friendos, because in this video, we're unpacking the brutal truth bombs that Piers just dropped on Meghan, and why even his loudest haters are starting to admit maybe he was onto something this time. Piers was one of the first to see through Meghan's act, while others were clapping for her fairy tale story like Humperdew. Yay! He clocked the lies, the hypocrisy, the narcissism, and he said it out loud.
What he is objecting to is the negativity of the press attention.
Of course.
He said it was toxic.
Yeah.
So it's not just that they want to have privacy.
No.
They want to
only want, I get it, they
want to be able to do interviews and not to have all this horrible backlash that they keep getting.
They only want positive media coverage.
Well, after Meghan's interview with Oprah, particularly regarding her mental health struggles, Morgan openly stated, "I don't believe a word she said, Meghan Markle. I wouldn't believe it if she read me a weather report." And just like that, the fallout was instant. The backlash was loud, the complaints piled in, and Morgan walked away from Good Morning Britain, a show that he had co-hosted for years. He also tweeted, "I don't believe almost anything that comes out of her mouth, and I think the damage she's done to the British monarchy and to the Queen at a time when Prince Philip is lying in hospital is enormous and frankly contemptible." Now, at the time, the world painted him as a heartless, evil old bastard.
When I got turfed out of Good Morning Britain, obviously for saying that I didn't believe a word Harry and Meghan say about anything, which I still don't, it was funny, the public was split, quite split. Now, there's...
So, guys, yeah, the cracks in Meghan's narrative are showing, and they're kind of stinky. And Morgan's not just vindicated, the guy's enjoying every last second of it. Criticizing Meghan's Netflix series, with Love Meghan, Morgan tweeted, "Appalled by the universally savage reviews for this heartwarming and inspirational new series about how to make coffee. I found all 10 minutes that I can enjoy of it this morning genuinely hilarious." Oh, classic Piers, brutal, sarcastic, and impossible to ignore. And let's be honest, he wasn't the only one saying all of this. Many viewers, after the initial excitement, voiced disappointment over its superficiality. What was billed as an intimate, inspirational look into Meghan's life, well, that quickly devolved into a string of mundane moments and self-serving reflections. And the reviews weren't just bad, they were universally savage AF, echoing Morgan's sentiment to the letter. One ex-user commented on Morgan's post saying, "I gave her show a chance, but I could only sit through 30 minutes. Another one added, "That's savage, but he's not wrong." When the reality show announcement was made last year, promising a heartwarming display of Meghan hosting friends, cooking, and sharing life hacks, Piers responded with skepticism and extreme sarcasm.
I can't wait to find out from Meghan Markle what that's like.
Well, as one of the many friends that she cut off spectacularly the moment she got a bit of royal action, along with her entire family, of course, on both sides, apart from her mother, I don't think Meghan Markle's in any position to be lecturing anybody about friendship.
Morgan himself actually had a brief friendship with Meghan until she ghosted him, the charlatan. 1 minute they were chatting over drinks, and the next, radio silence. And according to Piers, that vanishing act came the moment she got a sniff of royal fame. He said it time and time again. Once Meghan started climbing the social ladder, she didn't just drop him, she ditched a whole bunch of her old friends too. So when Meghan announced the reality series supposedly centered on friendship, well, Piers didn't just roll his eyes, he went in hard. He mocked the idea that somebody who's famous for cutting off family and friends is now handing out life advice on how to maintain close relationships. The irony was not lost on him or anybody else. As far as Piers is concerned, Meghan giving lectures on friendship is like a cat teaching dogs how to behave.
It always made me laugh that the Archewell website, their charitable foundation, says it's dedicated to compassion. I mean, it's hard to imagine two people who've been less compassionate in the last few years to the ones around that they're loved.
He didn't just turn on Meghan after the royal wedding. He's been calling her out since 2018, especially after she gave him the cold shoulder. But to him, it's not just personal. He has long claimed that Meghan's entire public persona is one big act, a glossy, PR-fueled performance designed to sell a brand, not to stand for anything real or practical. In his eyes, she's less about service and more about self-promotion.
I just think she's a slight social climber, I'm afraid. And
he didn't hold back. He called her exactly what he believes she is, a ruthless social climber who drops people the second they're no longer useful. Was it brutal? Sure, but it echoed the core of his long-standing claim that everything Meghan does, from ditching the royals to launching lifestyle brands, is part of a carefully calculated PR game. Now, back then, not everybody bought it, but now that social climber label has started to stick. Each new project, whether it's archetypes or Love Meghan, gets judged not just for quality, but for motive. Is she really trying to connect with people, or is she just climbing higher with every polished release? And with Morgan hammering that message to millions of viewers, the public's starting to wonder, is Meghan misunderstood or just perfectly managed? Because lately the backlash feels less about what she's doing and more about who she's pretending to be.
Quoting someone as saying they are the most entitled, disingenuous people on the planet. They moved from England to get away from the scrutiny of the press, supposedly, and all they do is try to get in the press in the United States.
Back in 2021, after the Oprah interview, much of the public was still hesitant to question Meghan's true motive for leaving the UK. She claimed it was for the safety and privacy of her child. But yet, paradoxically, we heard Archie's voice during that very same interview, broadcast globally to millions. Holy crap, so much for privacy. The contradiction was glaring, but most people either missed it or just chose to ignore it. Piers, on the other hand, wasn't one of them. He immediately called it out, highlighting the hypocrisy of demanding seclusion while simultaneously inviting cameras into their private world.
he was brought in to flog it with his laughter. Did it not make you go, oh?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Not at all? Even after all we've got to leave the country to protect his privacy?
No, but the thing
And now
is,
the moment we signed a big money deal for Spotify, we're going to use him to flog our podcast?
don't say use him.
What else are they...
Ginge and cringe, using Archie. Piers Morgan might have been one of the first to say it out loud, but now the whole world sees it too. What was once framed as fierce protection of their children's privacy has gradually revealed itself to be a calculated PR strategy. From carefully curated black and white photos showing just the back of Archie's head, to tightly cropped images of tiny hands and feet, each glimpse seemed designed not to shield their children, but to stoke curiosity and keep the public hooked. And now every intimate family moment they share, whether it's in a documentary or stuck in a Christmas card, feels less like parenting and more like branding. Privacy bish, please! His selective exposure dressed up as victimhood. And then came Harry and Meghan on Netflix. And Morgan, he went full scorched earth. He tweeted, King Charles needs to strip these two poisonous rats of all remaining titles and ties to the royal family, and needs to do it fast before they destroy the monarchy. Savage? Definitely. But for royal loyalists, it hit a massive nerve. Because by then, the whole "we just want peace and privacy" act had worn thin. They weren't stepping back, they were cashing in. What once looked like a couple breaking free now looked like a full-blown brand operation, weaponizing victimhood and targeting the crown.
What happened was, once they got married, her and Harry began behaving in the most ludicrously hypocritical manner, which led to the media collectively, not just me, but everyone, criticizing them for their hypocrisy, and they couldn't deal with it.
To Morgan, this wasn't just hypocrisy, it was sabotage. And that tweet, it wasn't just rage, it was a warning shot to the palace. Cut them loose, or risk letting the firm become just another subplot in Meghan's next media drop.
More serious point, actually, they are trying to be a rival royal family. They've announced an official tour to Nigeria, but they're not official royals. There's no official royal tour.
It's actually kind of sickening. Throwing trash at the monarchy and the entire royal family, stepping out of royal duties, by clinging to the royal titles like a lifeline to fame and relevance. They want all the benefits of royalty without any of the responsibility. And the moment that anything doesn't go their way, it's branded as oppression or mistreatment. Yet they got no problem using those same royal connections to land multi-million-dollar media deals.
For long.
What has been echoed so much, really, in the past day by men and women alike is, oh, we weren't surprised when we found out that you were Nigerian. No. And I say that mostly as a compliment to all of you, because what they define as a Nigerian woman is brave, resilient, courageous, powerful.
Man, I'd rather disappear off the grid than be such a self-centered person, because honestly, I'd cringe way too hard to function. And just look at the royal branding still plastered all over the background. The Dutch ass of sucks ass flashing behind her like a logo, while she insisted she's left the royal life behind. Holy crap, man, which is it? You can't slam the monarchy and still use its title as your social currency. But that's exactly what they're doing. Meghan and Harry dragging the monarchy through the mud, spinning half-truths into victim narratives, and dishing out moral lectures while doing the complete opposite behind the scenes. It's a masterclass in contradiction. They speak of truth, man, of healing and integrity. But it all feels like PR wrapped in self-interest. The hypocrisy isn't even subtle anymore. It's the whole friggin' brand.
Do I think they're hypocrites? Of course they are. Why on earth would they want to accept such titles from such an awful, dodgy, racist, imperial connected
At this point, it's less about telling their story and more about rewriting it to fit whatever friggin' narrative sells the best. One minute they're victims of a cruel institution. The next they're just jet-setting on unofficial royal tours and delivering TED Talk-style wisdom to anybody who would listen to them prattle on. They have turned contradiction into a career, and somehow the world is expected to applaud every carefully filtered photo and every hollow speech as if it's groundbreaking.
So they were like, preaching about the carbon footprint and using George Clooney and Elton John's jets like a taxi service. They were having, tweets about taking poverty more seriously on their, Kensington royal site, whatever it was, the Sussex site, and at the same day having a $500,000 baby shower in New York. It's like the whole thing was.
And just when you think they might show even a sliver of self-awareness, Meghan managed to snatch the spotlight in the most jaw-dropping fashion. On the very day Princess Kate courageously shared a video announcing the completion of her chemotherapy, an emotional human moment that deserved the world's undivided attention, what happened? Mere hours later, out came a glossy teaser for a Harry and Meghan Netflix project, carefully timed or carelessly indifferent, depending on who you ask.
They wanted to capitalize on all the publicity around the Kate announcement by saying, boom, by the way, don't forget about us.
When you drop a promo reel the same day your sister-in-law announces that she's beaten cancer, You're not just tone deaf, you're broadcasting that attention matters more than empathy. But it was a failed attempt, only this time the spotlight didn't stick.
But interestingly, it completely bombed. The next day's papers barely mentioned at all this Polo series, nor did any other publications I saw around the world. It was all front page on cable.
Even if the release date of the show was already decided, they could have easily pushed the release after learning about Kate's video. One call to their Netflix team, and the whole thing could have been delayed. But that would have required tact, or at the very least, basic human decency. But naturally, that's not where it ends, because now we've entered the Netflix era of Meghan Markle, where she's selling jams that nobody wants to buy.
And celebrity, sort of B-list, C-list mates putting out Instagram posts about her jam, and it's like, how the mighty fall. This was a woman who had it all in this country, who literally had it all, and is now flogging jam from her kitchen in Montana.
From red carpets and royal status to peddling preserves and designer jars, this is how the mighty fall. And let's be real, selling jam under the Duchess Sussex label is, honestly, it's kind of funny. Slapping that label on artificial jam jars isn't reinvention, it's repackaging royalty as a lifestyle brand. In fact, in With Love Meghan, she literally tells one of her guests to call her Success.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
Now that right there says it all. The tiara may be gone, but the branding is stronger than ever, and this isn't lost on critics.
Ultimate kind of vanity project, where it's all about people telling Meghan how great she is, her telling everyone how great she is. It's not even her house. She's doing things like making coffee, making a basic cake. There's nothing to actually learn here. It's just a vanity.
Piers literally hit the nail on the head by calling With Love Meghan exactly what it is, a vanity project dressed up as content. Morgan mocked the series for being a nauseating parade of self-praise, a glossy, carefully filtered feedback loop where sycophantic praise flows freely and self-congratulation is the central theme. Meghan invites people to tell her how impactful and graceful she is, only to echo that sentiment back with the same shallow affirmations. No struggle, no truth, no authenticity, just Meghan basking in a spotlight she so desperately tries to control. And in true Morgan fashion, he stripped away the faux empowerment aesthetic to reveal the desperate bid for attention underneath. So yeah, this is what it's come to. A Duchess who walked away from royal life, only to repackage it with recipe cards, lifestyle shots, and jam jars nobody ever asked for. From lecturing the monarchy to monetizing the memory of it, her rebrand was never about healing or growth, man. It's all about holding on to the spotlight, no matter the cost. And of course, Morgan's always front row, calling out every carefully curated move. And honestly, somebody's gotta do it.